Welcome to our Wellness Hub, where you will find experts in the field of health, wellness, healing, and mindset. My name is Moni C. I'm a creative mindset coach and your host. Today, we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Kathleen Flanagan. She is a transformational coach. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself, your story, and what was the turning point in your life that opened your eyes? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Moni, for having me here. I do appreciate it. And the little bit that we've been connecting, as we have very much in common. So my story, actually, it used to be when I was 16, but it's actually a lot sooner than that. I came to the realization that the things that happened to me started when I was 11 years old. It actually was my whole life, but 11 is when the major shift happened. And I have been subject to severe trauma, abuse, emotional, mental, sexual, physical, you name it. I had it in my life. And not only did I have it, I'm learning to the depth of what my siblings have. And as a result of that, we don't talk to each other anymore. And that's okay. It's a good thing. But the whole point is that I was very suicidal. I did not want to live. I wanted to get out of my house more than anything. And the only way I knew how to get out was through suicide or pregnancy. And thank God pregnancy did not happen. But the suicide was there, and my mother used to watch, thinking I'm trying to kill myself, which I was, and got into drugs and that kind of thing. But we went to an Edgar Cayce meeting when I was 16 years old, and we did a meditation. It was the very first meditation I had ever done. And I actually went into this meditation, and I received the rod and the staff from who I thought was God at the time. And they said, "You're going to change the world." And I told them they were on drugs. I wasn't going to do it. They had the wrong person. I found out years later, many years later, that it was actually the Archangel Michael who came to me and handed me the rod and the staff. And I argued profusely. And they, as spirit is, they just stand there and they just wait. Very patiently, they wait for you. And so as they did, I finally surrendered and took it and said, "Okay, but I still think you got the wrong person." But what that did for me was it gave me a sign of hope that there was something bigger and better and more than nothing, because all I saw was bleakness. All my friends were planning college. They had a life plan, and all I saw was darkness, hopelessness. And if I was going to live like my parents, I would rather be dead. And that's where I was going. So that meditation was the turning point of my life. So I started studying Eastern and Western philosophy. I was understanding there was something more, and I found out, and I hated my intuition. And I came to terms with that in my 20s when I was in the School of Metaphysics, and my teacher was an astrologer, and she said people would give 1/10 of, or their right arm for 1/10 of what you have. And I thought they could have it, because she didn't realize what a curse this was when you didn't understand what it was. Because I could give people readings just by looking at them. I'm channeling all the time, and I didn't know that gift yet. The school helped me to harness it, understand it, and accept it, but I was still always dealing with, there was this angst inside, and there was this separation that I couldn't, it was like, this is the inside of me, this is the outside, and I had no way of knowing how to bring them together. But I knew I was full of rage. People said it was anger, but it was really rage. And I walked around and people said, "You're a victim." And I said, "I am not a victim." I spoke like a victim. I probably acted like a victim. But see, I didn't know what a victim was. I was in survival, and I was living from survival. So I was a very accomplished woman. I have got so many accolades and awards and things that I've done, but it was always on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, because it wasn't never enough. When all of this changed was in 2008, because I noticed I was still, in 2008, I'm still like, how am I ever going to get to this other side? And when I went out there, I was asked to go to Chicago to write my books, the Dancing Souls series. And as I wrote the books Dancing Souls, and it's really the journey of an awakening spirit. And there was a man out there that I had met, and he was just such a nice person. And I had never met anyone like him at all, because I thought all men were what I always dragged in. And he was not that person. There was a kindness and a gentleness and a light about him, and he liked me. And I don't know why he liked me, but he did. And he calmed me down, and he said I calmed him down, and I'm a crazy lady, okay? But I remember just thinking, I just want to be a better person, because the last thing I wanted to do was throw it away. And I'm so good at throwing things away when I'm uncomfortable or changing. And I remember just telling myself in 2008, I just want to be a better person. I did not know what that meant, but I knew that the anger and the rage and all the angst that I was feeling had to leave. And I didn't know what that meant either. I just knew it had to go. And so that was the journey of the books, was a year of in the life of waking up. And this is what our masters went through as well. But there were so many gifts that were given as far as, we're never alone. And the messages that are always around us, but we don't pay attention because we're not trained to pay attention. And even though I went into the deepest, darkest place of my being, it was when I finally came out on the other side is when, oh my God, there is a light and I am not that person. And yes, I am awakened and I am fully functioning, spiritually awakened, but I'm still human. That doesn't mean I was fixed, but there was something more that I could start building on. And as I built on that part of myself, I just kept going deeper and deeper. My mother died in that process, and I got to see a whole new level of things I did not expect to see. I was stunned. I was shocked. I lost my family during that period of time. It was the best thing that could have happened. They were about as evil as my parents were. I didn't understand how anybody could be so hateful. And I'm like, we weren't taught this the way they were acting. And Spirit said, no, you weren't taught this because you are not them. And that was a big turning point for me. And then I just had to rebuild, because when I woke up, it was like, who am I? What do I think? I had no clue. I was like a baby all over again, starting over, because I realized my life was a lie, that everything that happened to me, they did everything to snuff out my light. And I have a very strong, brilliant light, and they tried to snuff it out, and I brought it back. And then when my father died last year, it was a whole new level of something totally different, because it was 40 years, 50 years of, well, no, it was a lifetime of forgiving my father. So when he died, it was a totally different experience. And the fact that I had been estranged from him since I was 40, before 40, I was like, he doesn't deserve my tears. He doesn't deserve this. The Spirit said, you are not grieving him. You are grieving the little girl who never had the father. And it was like a whole new level and depth of what this human condition is, that our little child inside has this idea of what our life is supposed to be. Well, that was not my life. It was never going to be the life. And the fact that I always wanted a father and realized that there was always a yearning inside, for a father that I never had. And when he died, it was like, well, it's really never going to happen now. Not even knowing I was still yearning it, because what we want is so deeply ingrained that it's so natural to us. And it's as we grow and evolve is when we move and shift to where we are today. I wouldn't change 1 minute of my life, as hard and difficult as it was. I wouldn't change it, because who I am and where I am and how I feel about myself and the world and people is night and day. And so now I'm learning to receive, like, people like me. And it's like, it used to be, why? What do you want from me? Because that I was suspicious of everyone, because everybody was always taking. And now people are like, they like me because I'm a nice person. And I've always known I was a nice person. I just couldn't get to being her. And now I'm this. I'm finally in alignment, where the inside and the outside are finally in alignment with each other. And I'm not dealing with the anger and the rage and keeping people away. I'm allowing people in. And that's an amazing part of life, is like finding all these amazing people that I was so terrified of for so long.
Oh, what a beautiful story, Kathleen. And so you help people now remember who they are and why they're here. I know that it's hard to explain in such a short time, but give us some examples of how do you do that? I know that everybody's different. Walk us through a session.
A healing session?
I know it's kind of
what
impossible in this time, but
when I do sound, it's interesting. And the reason I did sound, because it helps. We heal on a cellular level. We bury things deep within our bodies. And Spirit guided me and showed me how to bring this particular modality that I use to surface. But when I first started doing, what was so interesting is I didn't get a whole lot of information. I just trusted my instincts and then got the backstory afterwards. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. Or if the person is not understanding what's happening, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just channeling through what sounds to do. And sometimes I'm going, why am I doing this? Because I don't know. But see, I'm not in control of it. I want it's for them. It's all about them. But I'm also receiving my own healing and I'm still conscious of what's going on. And if they don't know it, then spirit will drop the bomb and tell me everything that they needed to get that they chose not to get because they wanted to keep the block up or whatever. But it's amazing because people say, I saw my mother, I saw my brother, or deceased people, and they're crying on the table. And I'm always conscious of where they are and what I'm doing. And so I'm using crystals and I'm using the sound bowls and I'm using aromatherapy. And I'm doing this magical dance, energetic dance. And I pull all the stuff up for the universe to transform. And then I bring down all this love to put it back in. And then I seal them in that. So I don't know because it's not my business to know, but if I need to know, they will tell me. But what I do know is when they come out, it's like drink lots of water because I know the depth of what they're doing. And what spirit showed me when my mother died, because the grief was so intense and it was because of the physical connection that we have with our mother. So you have to do this. You have to break the cord from your mother when she dies because your spirit is always looking for her. So spirit said, I want you to get in the tub. This is really a cool story. I want you to use these essential oils and take out your tuning forks. I want you to wring the fork and put it in the water. And I was like, whoa. And it was like all the way in my brain, like I recircuited my brain and that depth of that depression was gone. Like it severed my connection with my mother, that physical connection, because that's what our spirit's looking for through the cord, because we were attached to our mothers. Fathers are not the same. We're never attached to them, but we are attached to our mothers. And a lot of people suffer when their mothers pass because they don't realize that the cord is still attached and our spirit is constantly looking for. And that was one of the things. And I practice this on other people. And it's just an amazing thing because you're in water, because water's the conductor. We are water. That's why sound works so well. And that's what we do. And so people are just completely transformed by having a session because they feel lighter. It's like something's been lifted. They don't have to relive the trauma. They don't have to talk about the trauma. They don't have to, it just gets it out of the cells. And that's the main thing, is you got to get it out because we carry all of this until we heal it or release it. And sound is the best way to release it, in my opinion.
That's absolutely fascinating. And Kathleen, do you have one tip that you can give to our audience that will help them reconnect with their inner selves?
Just stop. Turn off the devices. Just stop. Get up 5 minutes early if you got a crazy life, and just be with yourself. When you sit with yourself, you start noticing and you start understanding the feeling. And that's what I was, or write or journal, just be with yourself. Give yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes, if that's all you can spare. Because in that 5 minutes, peace and tranquility comes back and you can start rediscovering who you are.
Yeah, some quiet time with yourself. And it's okay to turn off everything and just sit with yourself. Well, Kathleen, our audience is going to find all your information below. I know that you started this new community on Skool, SKOOL. They're going to have the link to join. Time flew as usual. And I really want to thank you for coming here and sharing your story, becoming vulnerable and your knowledge. You're such an amazing human being and you're helping so many people around the world. You're truly an inspiration. I hope to see you again soon. And thank you again. Until next time.
Thank you, Moni.
Thank you.